Welcome to the Panic Button, everyone. I'm Nina.
I'm sleepy.
Today we're reacting to a clip on Alexis Blake. See,
Oh, Jesus.
There's this woman that I follow on X called Amy Isuza, and she got blocked by Alexis Blake. And we're going to hear the story.
Okay.
Because, you know, we have drama with Alexis Blake.
Previous drama, but yeah.
All right.
So I've put two pictures of Alexis here that I'm just going to leave up while I talk. Alexis and his husband, Liam, have chosen to block me after our little back and forth, and it's very funny. His husband, Liam, was all over my other socials, like in my Facebook, in my Instagram, arguing with me and really just trying to say that other women consent. But of course, they can't consent for me because my no is a no. So my no is enough. Any woman's no is enough. Women who don't consent, other women can't consent for us. But I also want to point out Alexis's behavior. This was very entitled behavior. This was very narcissistic behavior. And I'm always talking about this book here, The Gift of Fear. And I want to say something in here. So it says, any man that aggressively debates, doubts, negotiates, or attempts to change your mind about your no should be recognized for what it is. It should be recognized that that is predatory behavior. Okay, so that is what Alexis and Liam were trying to do. They were trying to negotiate with me, argue me out of, and debate my no. That in itself is predatory behavior. Also, he is going into women's spaces. Alexis has said on his videos that he goes into women's bathrooms. So that in itself is predatory behavior. And if a man is willing to violate your boundaries in one way, if he has already proven that he is willing to violate your boundaries, you do not know what other escalations that is going to have. What other boundaries is he willing to violate? That man does not respect you. Alexis and men like Alexis do not respect women. Is this clear to you? I hope I have been making this clear to you over time. Men who violate women's boundaries, men who try to bypass women and girls' consent, they do not respect us. This is predatory behavior. And I want to say, looking at these two pictures, I have just as much of a right to say no to this Alexis as I do to this Alex. I have the same amount of right to say no. He is just as much of a man in both pictures. He is not somehow more of a woman because he has disguised his secondary sex characteristics. He's equally as a man in both of the photos. So I want to say to Alexis and men like him, regardless of what you look like today, I can say no to you. This is not hate. So I want you to repeat that to yourselves so you can really embody it. I'm trying to be out here empowering other women to say, no, this is not okay. And especially for our daughters to say no. They do not, boys in their locker room is an abuse. They need to be able to say no, regardless of what you call yourself, regardless of whatever identity concept you hold in your head about yourself, regardless of how much you feminize your appearance. I can say no to you. This is not hate. All right. Thank you so much.
Whatever happened to no means no.
What is the context of this? Obviously, it's not a sexual thing.
I'm assuming what she's talking about is allowing him to
Be in women's spaces?
Women's spaces, locker rooms, bathrooms.
So they're arguing the consent of if women can consent to
Yeah,
that.
if these women consent and you don't, well, I could still come in because these women consented, even though you said no.
There's also a lot of people who are clearly against it. So as much as like maybe there was consent to it, it's not common legal place. Maybe in the UK, but at least in the US where you're picking a lot of your fights, Alexis, in the US, we're still not down with that.
No, most women aren't. we're not cool with it.
A lot of men still aren't.
Yeah. So, and I always reference, or I try to reference the book, The Gift of Fear. I've read it. I think it's a very logical book when it comes to women, especially. I think more women need to read that book because it really puts things into perspective when it comes to keeping yourself safe as a woman and what things to look out for. Because men like him, they're very good at manipulating women into being cool with things they shouldn't be cool with. Like men in general have been doing this for years. Now they're just doing it in woman face.
In a woman's costume, yeah.
In a woman's costume, yeah. It doesn't make it better, you know?
It doesn't make it any more acceptable.
It's a wolf in sheep's clothing at the end of the day.
But if a cisgender man, in their opinion, went to go do the same exact thing and go into a woman's room, they'd have a conniption, right?
Yeah.
But only if you can prove that he's cisgender, right? Because if you can't prove it, then you're just being a bigoted asshole.
Well, there is proof that no matter if a man identifies as a woman or transitions to be a woman, tries to be a woman, I should say, that doesn't eradicate the natural aggression that men inherently have. So, yeah.
I mean, and this is not the
doesn't
first
change
time.
anything about the dude inside and how he acts.
And this is not the first time Alexis Blake has tried to police women because Alexis Blake feels like they're allowed to. Just a bad look, honestly. If you're trying to be a woman, shouldn't you be trying to fit in, not trying to negotiate what it is and what it isn't?
Yeah, he might on the outside pass more as a woman than he did when he was just a gay man. He still is a gay man, but you know what I mean. But the way that he acts has not changed. You ever notice how, like, as much as dudes try to portray themselves as women, they still have that natural male aggression that never goes away?
I think a lot of these men transition just because they hate women and want to tell them what to do.
I think so, too.
I'm not saying that's the case for Alexis Blake. I'm saying that it's a commonality that I see over and over again where these men are mad that women have any right to say no. And so they take over. Again, Alexis Blake is a gay man, so I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but it's just a little suspicious.
He's got some, like, internal homophobia going on.
Probably. That's why he wants to look like a woman, because if he's a man, that's wrong.
So he hates gays and he hates women.
He hates himself more than anything because he wasn't born as a woman.
Yeah. Then he hates women because they were born as a woman.
As women. Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't born as a woman.
Because he wasn't born as a woman, he's mad at the world and women because they have something he doesn't.
Yeah. And so he's just going to sling around his dick in the ladies' room and be like, hey, ladies, some of you said this is okay, so even though you say no, I'm still going to do it. Well, that's predatory behavior.
I'm not saying that because I haven't seen this, nor have I heard the accusations that he was slinging it around, but...
If he has a dick and he's in the women's room, he's slinging it around like he's hot shit, like he is a woman. Okay.
I get what you're saying, but I understand there's a more, like, literal response to swinging it around, like the Planet Fitness locker room situations. I'm not making any allegations, you know what I mean?
I wasn't making an allegation.
I'm
just saying that if you have a dick and you're in the woman's room, it's flailing about, and it shouldn't be in there.
Yes. Concerning.
Keep your dick out of the fucking woman's room.
It's concerning that you cared this much about women's opinions and controlling their opinions.
Yeah. They just want to manipulate women. That's what they do.
As a gay man, why do you care so much about what straight women are doing? Wouldn't you want to go in the men's bathroom more as a gay man?
Yeah, why not just do that? So she posted another video that we're gonna watch here.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to respond to this comment by Reese here. The comment gets cut off, but I'll put it right here. So what is the end game? What do you believe is actually going to happen? You mentioned predator, etc., and I hear that, but what I don't understand or haven't heard is what do you fear is actually going to happen?
Oh, that's easy. Sexual assault, physical assault, getting in your face, intimidation, a lot of things. Just think
You're
of it this way.
pushing women out of their spaces.
Think of it this way. It's really easy. Close your eyes. It's just a man, okay? It's just a man in a costume. You could ask the same thing about a woman. What would she have to fear over a regular dude who doesn't identify as a woman coming into her space that she says no to? What does she fear?
obviously-
It's the same thing.
Obviously, like we've said, Alexis is clearly gay, so I'm not saying anything sexual, but you fear
Doesn't matter.
emotional irregularity.
Physical violence of any sort. Mm-hmm. Because he's
not,
a man.
I just said not sexual. I didn't say not violent. I didn't say anything like
Have
that.
you ever seen drag queens fight each other?
No.
They are vicious creatures.
Okay, I believe you.
They're violent and they're men. Okay? Not all of drag queens are violent and
Well,
not
that's the
all
thing is-
trans women are violent. But the ones who push when you say no, yeah, they're on the verge of being violent with you because they don't hear no. You know who else doesn't hear no? Rapists.
The other thing is that these people push so hard that you can't say no because number one, they're bigger than you. Number two, they're clearly stronger than you. And number three, you're in an enclosed space.
And they're intimidating.
Are you going to say no to someone who's bigger, stronger, and scarier than you?
And who's intimidating you?
Like bigger, stronger, scarier would be intimidating, yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Most women are going to be afraid.
And they'll placate to get out of the situation the best they can.
Yeah. So by saying yes because you're afraid isn't saying yes. It's saying no, but I have to say yes.
I fear not having privacy. I fear not having a space where I truly feel like I can. I fear seeing a man standing at a toilet and peeing in front of me. I fear that he's going to allow more people in that are not necessarily, I'm not saying he has good intentions, but who are not as gay and have like more harmful intentions towards women. You know what I mean?
And yeah.
Yeah. So by allowing someone like Alexis Blake in, you're allowing other people to use the same arguments when they have a bad moral compass with it. Mm-hmm. At least all you're seeing right now is essentially a catty gay man. But imagine if that was a straight man who is also an incel going into the women's room. That increases the risk exponentially.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there is no risk. I understand what this lady is saying with her fear, but I think my fear goes even deeper. You're allowing more people to act like you and get in there,
Yeah.
even when they don't have the situation that you claim to have.
Well, yeah. The loophole's there for a reason, to let any man who says he's a woman into a woman's space to make them feel uncomfortable, because a lot of these guys get off on that. I mean, enough women have spoken out, and a majority of women are against men in their spaces, that it should be clear to any man who thinks he's a woman that we don't want them in there. Majority of women don't want them in there. And if you're willing to go into that space when you are clearly not welcome, well, then you're a predator. And we will certainly not want you in there then.
I'll reopen the conversation. I know it's not going to work again, but go ahead, Alexis. Say whatever you want to say. Respond however you want to respond. I'd love to actually have a conversation where you give your opinion on why you aren't these things, but you won't talk because that can't make you look good if you can't control the conversation.
Oh, no. And also, he would be so bored.
So funny.
So there's that. Continuing.
You say that Alexis is a predator, but what do you think he's going to do in there? Spy, sexual acts. What do I fear is going to actually happen? So the thing that I fear is actually going to happen is the violation of women and girls' privacy and boundaries around our bodies. That is the problem. The fact that there is a man who feels entitled to violate our privacy, to deny us the right of privacy and to deny us the right of consent, the fact that there is a man who has entered our intimate spaces against our will, that is the violation. That's it. That is the predatory behavior that I'm talking about. And here's the thing. Once a man has shown that he is willing to disrespect your boundaries, once a man has shown you that he has no respect for your boundaries, that he has no respect for your no, who knows what escalating behavior is going to happen? Who knows what else he's willing to do? Because that man obviously feels entitled to do whatever he wants.
Now, a lot of women have been pushed by men at some point or another. Not I mean physically, I mean mentally or emotionally. Like they push. You say no, and then they call you a bitch, or they'll get an attitude with you, or they'll keep pushing. Like, well, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? We've all been there. Now, imagine he says he's a woman. Does your opinion change because he says he's something? It shouldn't. And if it does, you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror because you're retarded.
That's true.
To women and girls. And, Alexis is, one of the good ones. I mean, I don't think he's one of the good ones, but I do think that he is probably just peeing in there, but he is normalizing it for all these other men. Okay, for all of the other fetishistic men who are doing very inappropriate things, and we have all kinds of.
Yeah, like you said, he's opening the floodgates and he's saying, "Hey, dudes, come on in."
Not only that, he's also using his arguments, thinking they're good, and it's opening that argument up to people who don't have, like I said, the good intentions you might have. Despite how catty we might feel, you might still be suffering from some kind of gender dysphoria, and maybe you do feel better identifying as a woman. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying maybe for this exercise, we'll pretend you do. Can you not see how allowing one man, not just one, but many men in who identify as women and loosening up those regulations, how that could be a danger to the very women that you're saying you want to be included with, which would hypothetically, if you really believe that you become one of them, would put you in danger, which means that the women's bathroom is extremely more dangerous now because you allowed men in there. The people that you didn't even want to be from the beginning.
Yeah.
Pictures of men doing very inappropriate things. We've just had the guy at the Gold's Gym jerking off. We've had
Planet Fitness.
a number. We have had that Jimmy Swole guy of the guy making corn in the locker room. This is what is being enabled. And this is a culture. This is grape culture. This is creating trans ideology, self-ID, men pretending to be women. It is creating a culture in which women and girls are being told that there is a certain kind of man that you are not allowed to say no to. This is the stuff that we tried to address with Me Too. This is the Harvey Weinstein stuff. This is, there's a kind of man. And
yeah, I was thinking about it. If Harvey Weinstein identified as a woman, he'd still be getting away with this stuff today.
Almost definitely at this
He
point.
would not be arrested at all. Now think about that for a second. A man just saying a sentence, he can get away with sexually assaulting a whole bunch of women. And no women, aside from the rational ones like us, will say anything about it. They'll be complacent and compliant, and they'll be helping these men get away with horrific things. Now, you might think that, oh, wow, well, that's blowing it out of proportion. No, it's not actually. The amount of women who don't come forward about sexual assault is immense.
Again, I want to say that we're not saying that Alexis is going to do that to anyone. Alexis is clearly a gay man. I'm not expecting Alexis to assault anyone of female variety in the female restroom, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. However, by Alexis defending it so hard, you end up in this conundrum where now you have people who are going in there and jerking off and saying, well, I have a right to be here.
I say I'm a woman. I have a right to be here.
I have every right to be here.
So I guess no means no only when it's towards guys who don't say they're women, but then no means yes.
Because I have a right to be here.
Because he says he's a woman. Yeah. That's not going to work out in the long run.
But maybe if you were just like, you know what, you guys are right. Maybe there are situations I could use a family restroom or just avoid the men's room completely, but still avoid the females' room. Instead of saying anything like that, you're just like, I'm going to do what I want because I'm bored.
There are these retarded studies that I read where they said that some trans women have the mind of a woman, and I'd like to say that that's complete horse pucky. Because if you have the mind of a woman, then you can understand why she would say no.
They can't have the mind of a woman because they don't actually produce the hormones necessary to have the mind of a woman. Their brain and its chemistry doesn't activate the hormones within their body to create a menstrual cycle. They literally don't have a woman's brain.
But they say they think like women. But if you
That's so vague.
If you did, you would get why we say no.
But even that is so
don't.
vague. Not every woman thinks the same.
Also true.
So to sit there and say, oh, I think like a woman is ridiculous.
Well, these studies were incredibly biased and very flawed.
Oh, no, this one hemisphere of the brain lit up. They must think like women.
No, you can say the same thing about PDF files.
You can say that a rat has the same brain section function as a human when they get exposed to cocaine. Does that mean cocaine is good for everyone?
Probably not.
Almost definitely not. I have another research, but I'm pretty sure it gives you heart attacks, and I'm sure it'll kill a mouse. So just because it activates something in your brain doesn't mean that it's a good thing. And just because you have some kind of brainwave doesn't even mean that you're like more similar to a female or a male. If anything, it means you got a weird brain.
Or a damaged one.
At the end of the day, most people have something different going on with them, and you got to learn how to process it. And at the very least, each woman thinks differently. There are some women that are into hockey players and football players, and then there are some women that are into the fat dad bodies.
And there's
How is
some
that
women
not
that are into
thinking
women.
different? How is that not thinking different?
And there's some women that are into women.
And there are some women who never have sex in their life.
Asexuals.
Oh, I don't like that title, but they never have sex in their life.
Yeah. Nuns.
Basically, I've met some that aren't nuns, but go ahead.
Rosie O'Donnell.
But point being that, like, brains are all independent and think differently, and I'd like to see one study that shows that every female brain thinks the exact same way, including
Yeah.
lesbians, because I doubt it.
That also brings up another good point, because he was saying, well, these women say yes. Well, we don't all think alike, you misogynistic asshat.
Again, now, a different argument would have been, we have voted on it, and I'm legally allowed based on laws to go in. That says that we used a majority opinion, and therefore the other women agreeing on it in majority is why we do it. That's a different thing than being like, oh, other women agree with me.
Really? Do Muslim women agree? You think that their husbands want you in there with them?
Putting it to a vote and then us doing it, yeah, we gotta suck it then. Then we gotta suck it. We can still talk up again. We can talk up about it, but there's nothing we can legally do, right? But as of right now, there's nothing saying that we can't speak up about it and that we have to let it sit there and happen. So I'm gonna keep speaking up about it. I'm not gonna let them shut me up.
Well, that's what the men want you to do. The men that
Yeah.
say they're women. And then the soy
Obviously.
boys, who
Become women.
are
Sorry.
very, very big fans of their girlfriends, boyfriends,
Boyfriends,
wives,
boyfriends.
boyfriends, all that stuff.
La la la.
He's so powerful that you can't say no to him. This is what's happening. So that violation of privacy, that's already predatory. And who knows how else it's going to escalate from there. And the problem that I have is women and girls being told over and over and over again that there is a kind of man that you are not allowed to say no to. And you have to let him do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. That's my problem. That's dangerous. That teaches women and girls dangerous things, that it teaches men dangerous things. So, no, thank you. I hope this helps.
Yeah, it teaches men that they can be aggressive and get away with it. If they say they're women, don't even need to try to pass or do anything to pass. And it also tells girls, well, you need to shut up around trans women, or else you're going to get in trouble, or beaten up, or worse. And nobody's going to believe you, and no one's going to care when it happens. Well, that's some messed up stuff. It's pretty messed up.
You gonna say that again?
See, because men who say they're women, they don't all think alike, too. Isn't it surprising? Some men who say they're women, like Blair White or Jessica Gill or so forth, understand where women are coming from. But then there are others who just want to invade women's spaces in order to make them feel uncomfortable and to flex their manhood and to be predatory. So just because this one man who says he's a woman is understanding and isn't causing problems doesn't mean that the other ones aren't going to do the same or are going to do the same.
Exactly. Either way.
You can't just blanket state, like, you can't blanketly state that all trans women are just good people and we have to shut up about it because they're not going to do anything wrong, because that's been proven false time and time and time again. And this is like the new women's rights movement. You know, like, we wanted our rights to vote. No one wanted to give us a right to vote. We had to fight for that. We were on the losing side, and it took a long time for us to get our rights to vote. Well, everyone and their mother was pushing back against us. This is the same thing. It's just way dangerous now because we're fighting men in our own spaces where we're supposed to be safe.
And the only disadvantage they have is the dress. Mm-hmm. Maybe some heels if they're
And
trying.
a portion of the country is trying to shut us up even when they do commit some horrific crime against us, or they'll punish us for it. I mean, it sounds a lot like Hollywood. You know, you don't get on the casting couch and let him assault you. Well, you're not going to get the part, and you're going to be blacklisted.
You'll never work in this town, kid.
Well, this is like reliving the past. It's not Harvey Weinstein.
It's anyone online.
It's any creepy dude who says he's a chick. Just need to utter those magic words, and he can get away with almost anything. In
It's
Canada,
scary.
even attempted murder.
It's scary.
Quite. Anyway, like and subscribe, join our memberships to keep this channel going,
I made a better boast.
and we'll see you in the next one.
Is it better?
Yeah, he just looks fat.
He's a boast.
Bye.
They don't have weight. They're matter.
Cry